welcome back to the channel. This I'm going to bring you my initial 2-week review of this is the Canon RF 35mm 1.4L lens, which has long been rumored. Previously it was rumored at 1.2, then there was a rumor that was 1.2 and a 1.4, but we have the 1.4 here, and this is mainly centered at being a hybrid lens. It's one of their hybrid lines. It has some type of weird vibrating motor in the rear, which I am not a pro photographer. I just take photos of my kids and families, trips, things like that. And I do some videos on the side like this just because it's something I enjoy. So this lens runs at $14.99. It is in stock at most places currently, and it's only been available for a couple weeks, so they're probably getting their second batches. But I'll kind of go through it as more of a photo. I haven't used it for video yet, but I assume it's going to do excellent in video because that's mainly what it's kind of hybrid focused for. So it is a rather compact lens. So I don't know if you can kind of get a picture of the size there. 67mm filter thread, which is nice. That's pretty standard. You can get filters fairly cheap for that price point. It does have a little control button there if you want to customize that. Your standard autofocus, that, and your iris. This does have an aperture ring, but that only works for video, which is a stupid thing to do if you ask me, because Sony's been doing it to use for video and photo. Same thing with some of Sigma's more expensive DGDN lenses will have that also, but it only works for video and it's non-click, so that's probably a huge kind of weird thing they did there. This is a weird lens all around, but I'll kind of go through some of the pros and cons of it. I will start with the cons at first. And well, let's start with the pros first. So the pros is that it is very lightweight, somewhat affordable for an L series 1.4. It does have their nano, their USM, their faster focusing motors. And it is weather sealed, so it does have a seal here on the back. I assume it'll be pretty robust when it comes to dealing with dust and all that. So lightweight, compact, somewhat relatively expensive, similar to the Sony GM 35 1.4. That one goes on sale for $12.99 pretty frequently. But it is extremely sharp. I think all mirrorless lenses are fairly sharp right now. Even the 51.8 RF lens is a fairly sharp lens. I don't think there's any issues with sharpness on any of the RF lenses that I have seen. Maybe the Nikon 1.4, their new 35, that's only like $600. That may be, but it's extremely sharp. The focus on this is one of the fastest lenses I've ever used. It's very similar to, let's say, the Sony 135 1.8 GM, which was the lens that I previously used that I would say was one of the fastest lenses I've ever used. It's extremely fast focusing. It's very silent. It does have a little kind of noise there. Basically the motor or the little vibrating thing here in the back just goes up and down. Some people have said that that's kind of annoying when you're carrying it around, because if it goes like this, it is kind of, I'm not a wedding photographer and I don't really care about that little noise, so it doesn't bother me. So it's sharp, extremely fast. It's lightweight. It's kind of longer than I would like. That's one thing that I did notice, is that it's a little bit longer, as in the previous 35 I used was the Sony GM 35 1.4, which is a little bit fatter and a little bit more narrow. It seemed really well built. It does have a little control ring here and then a little customized button here, so you do have plenty of options there. It does have a little bit of character, because it does have what people call cat's eye bokeh, like background blur. So it does have a little bit of that, but that doesn't bother me. You do notice it if you're looking for it, but I had my wife look at some photos of it, and she couldn't even tell me what I was talking about. And she just likes good photos. She doesn't really care about the background quality per se. She just said that everything looked very sharp in focus, and things looked really good. It's made in Japan, if that's important to you. Some people don't like that stuff is made in China or Taiwan. But that's it. I'm pretty happy with the overall performance. The focus is really what I'm happy with, because our 2- and 4-year-old run around like crazy, and the focus is just really, really good with this lens. And I like this 67mm filter thread. which I know some people may not care about that stuff, but when you start buying filters for these things, it just saves you a ton of money there. So that's really it. Lightweight, sharp, fast focusing. It would probably be an excellent travel or all-around lens, even for photo and video. Haven't used it for video yet, but I would almost guarantee that it's going to be excellent for video also. Even if I'm shooting this on an 85 EF 1.4 IS lens, and it works perfect for video, so this is geared towards video. That lens isn't, so I think it'll do a really good job. Some of the cons. This aperture ring, I don't use it, so it doesn't bother me that you can't use it for photo and video. It's a silly thing to do. You have it there actually on the lens, but you can't, you can only use it for video. It doesn't work for photo, so that's kind of silly for me, so I won't use it. So it would have been, I know they would never do this, but maybe make a lens for $12.99 or $13.99 without that. If you don't want it, that would be nice. It feels a little, compared to some of the other like all the EF 35 millimeter 1.4 lenses, it's a lot more plasticky, so it does feel not as premium to hold as some of the previous metal heavier lenses, but that doesn't really bother me either, just because it's weather sealed. I've had really good luck with most of all of the Canon lenses, even the 35 1.8 RF lens that I had. I used that on the beach in all kinds of weird weather, and it didn't have any issues, so that doesn't bother me. I think the price point's a little high, $14.99. I assume it will go on sale. This to me seems like a $12.99 lens. If you just ask me, I know everything's a little bit more expensive, but I think that the Sony GM35 1.4 is a little bit better. If you ask me, just an all-around lens. This has a little bit of weirdness with the background blur that some people don't care for, and I notice it in my photos just because people pointed it out. Especially when like trees or like green colors, green, like the background here, if I used it, you would probably be able to tell pretty easily. When you're shooting it in other situations, I don't notice it as much. But that, again, that does not bother me. It has a little bit of character. It doesn't look as clinical as a lot of modern lenses. Sony, even the Canon, the RF 1.2, that has a little bit of character, but it just looks very clinical and very like perfect, if you ask me. So I do like that it has a little bit of character. That's one thing I really loved about the EF 35 1.4, the original one that was from like 2007 or maybe earlier. Had some character to it. So that's it. I'm really happy with it. I almost jumped ship and went back to the Sony just because 35 millimeter is my preferred focal length, and the 1.8, this focus was just too slow. I mean, it was an excellent lens, but the focus did not track our kids. So I will be sticking with the Canon line. I got the EF 85 1.4 IS lens, which I also love, and I got it for like $800. So I'm going to stick with this mount. So I'm happy with it. The only big thing is that if you really want to use that aperture ring for photo, I don't know why they didn't. They could probably do it in a firmware update. The only problem is that you can only use it once you like get it unlocked. It only goes into smooth mode. It doesn't click or anything, and then you have to push this back up to lock it back in. So kind of weird things there, but that's it. I'll get a long-term review of it up as I use it more. I haven't used it for video. I've probably only taken 200 shots with it, but the focus is real fast. So I like that. So that's it. Have a good day, rest of the weekend, whatever it is out there, and I'll see you guys next time.